So he's explaining now in Leis Dalit why his taina was only about the talis at Hule Tchelis and not Lavan. And the Kuda is Tchelis is expensive, Lavan is not. Beruchnis, it means that Tchelis is already a Maila, it has Kedusha, but white doesn't. So therefore, so the only way that the talus of white becomes significant is if you attach tzitzis. If you don't, it has no significance. But the tcheles already itself has a maila, and therefore there's no need for amshachas and tzimtzumim, because you have already wrapped in the initial tcheles. V'lochin, picking up the text now, almost by the end, not 2/3 down. Therefore, it's not shaykh to ask that a purely a white talis should exempt itself from chutin, because the mila of white threads is not because they're white. Because there's no mila in white. But why are we making amshacha? Is because our mile mechedesh should be not tcheles because of the mile of tcheles itself. Shesh b'yesher kedusha, as we said, it's expensive and it's holy. If we have it already tcheles, sheyesh b'kva hayokev kedusha, it has already this preciousness and this holiness. Tifteres atzma, it should not require to have any hamshachas, any chutin. As you said in the previous paragraph, because he said that the chut of tchelis is isnasis of kedusha. We suggested the reason for this, it's opposite. The tchelis is amshacha, but that's the point. Since it's a tzimtzum dik amshacha, it implies that it's being mamshich from a place of isnasus. So therefore, what's his taina? So it's okay to have that for what? For a talis stam, because that fits into what he was saying before. It seems is the pshat is very cryptic. That talis stam is ordinary isnasa. He wasn't against that. He was against isnasas of kedusha. So to have an ordinary isnasas, which is the point he's saying, it seems now that there's no special milah to it. So therefore, that kind of isnasos, that kind of governance, that kind of aloofness, it's appropriate to have amshachis of that. However, talis at chulit cheles, which is already has this is, if you're learning pshat right, but I can't see any other way because he says al pizeh. So if you're learning pshat right, that talis at all cheles is the snasus in kedusha, and that was his whole taila, was the snasus of kedusha. And you shouldn't need a psil cheles outside. It's not clear, friends, because there's opposite things moving here. Anyway, okay, let's conclude. This nasu. Now he's connecting it to this nasu, as we're suggesting. Heinish benegelis nasu shinyonik dusha chutcheles. So when it comes to this nasu in kedusha, which is what a chut of tcheles is, so there you don't need amshacha, because vayikach shekol either kulam kedusha. Everybody is holy. So what runs through this whole thing, we'll do the summary again, is his taina, not on his nasas stam, but his nasas of kedusha. Obviously, you have to have a hierarchy of leadership. You need teachers, not abolishing the concept of teachers and leaders. He's abolishing the concept of his nasas and kedusha, but already has a shaykhis to that. And the chutshot cheles expresses that his nasas, which is why the amshacha can only be in a way of tzimtzum. So for ordinary talis, yeah, you need a whole system of leadership. No one's abolishing that. You'd have to be a fool to negate that. But the point is, in kedusha, you don't need any of that because kulam kedusha. You don't need these nasas, everybody is there. Not clear at all, but it seems that's the pshat. Now looking at the Haaretz, 22. Ad kan nimtze berishim shetachas yadeinu. This is as much as we get from the notes from the Rishime of the Maimer. But did they also add something else? Shebesim in the notes that somebody wrote, maybe the viewer, I don't know. Shebesim Maimer duber oides divrei Admo Mara. At the end of the Maimer, he spoke about the words of the Vayikach on Gimel Tmuz. Shechal b'yoyim haShabbos Kodesh. That Shabbos, as you can see, was Shabbos Kodesh Gimel Tmuz. So the words he said, Tafresh Pei Zayin, 1927 at the train station, he said, quoting the Rebbe Rashab, Hashem Elkeinu Imonu, Hashem should be with us, Al Yazveinu Val Yitzcheinu, He should not leave us and not forsake us. He continued and said, Hashem Yisbarach soll sein mit uns und wird sein mit uns. He should be with us and he will be with us. Haino, it's a request and an assurance. And this has been addressed at length in the bottom of the Rebbe. So they bring in the star, and this is they're connecting this. They're doing us a favor, and they're connecting us to a Maimer Ches, where this statement we just quoted, that they know the Rebbe did say at the end of this Maimer. So in Tavshim Ches he elaborates, and it's connected to our Maimer, so they share the essence of what he says in Tavshim Ches, and we'll see the connection to our Maimer. Again, Korach wants the union of what? Of Gevura, because he's relating to it at its source and he's opposing the union of Tzimtzumim. He's opposing the Tzimtzumim that creates the sense of Isnasos. There's no reason for that because we're Megala, the Sherish of Gevura. So let's see what he says in Tavshin Chav Ches. Shemavayish Aviseinu. What's the meaning of the pasuk? Hashem Elkeinu Imonu Kashoyim Aviseinu. That's how the pasuk concludes. So Shemavayish Aviseinu Em Chachma B'Nisha B'Nefesh. Aviseinu is Chachma Bina, which is close in Yinam B'Ichi, and that's B'Ichi. Fabakosha he wants to request if you should may be B'Ichi Aviseinu. The request is that that the oil which is in Vayikach, Yumshech v'Zagala Gam B'Midah Shebalev should come down to the emotions of the heart. That's us. That's Imanu. So Aviseinu is the Vayikach, the intellect, and it should come down in the Midas. Makashas and that Maimed they connects it in Yonah Korach. This request counters Korach because Korach should rotza shagvudas yeikir. He wanted that the ikir should be gvudas. Why? Because he's relating into Gvuras as they are their source, as we explained again in the bottom of Yud. That's the Tzimtzum, which is square and rectangular, which is higher than the Igul HaGodol and higher than the Ein Sof. So that's what he wants it, and that's all Kavanas, we mamshech that. So he wanted that, but he wanted it too early. As it is in the source, the Maile Me'achsadim, Shalachain, that's why Tzimtzum reveal it precedes Gili, because Bepnimius Tzimtzum is higher. I mean, it doesn't precede the Gili Yavayr Intzah, but it precedes the Gili to Ilamus. So in the process of revealing the Kus to Ilamus, Tzimtzum is higher because it's taka higher. That's what he wanted, which is all very beautiful. Of a be'emes, you can't negate the Tzimtzum, the process. Av le'emes is shekavaras ha-Tzimtzum b'shvil ha-Gilui. The whole point of the Tzimtzum is not, it's no arichas here. It's not just in Megala the Korach HaGvul, but the Korach HaGvul should be bam the Korach HaBli Gvul and be revealed like Bli Gvul. So it's B'shvil HaGilui. That's where he's wrong. Now that doesn't exactly accord with what we said earlier, that he's right just too early. Now he's saying it's fundamentally wrong. So again, lo pashut. That's because there's different levels to his taina, and it seems that here in this Maimer there's both, and I'm not able to reconcile it simply. Now it concludes here: "V'chein hu being the word of the Vayikach Rebbe, v'chein yemin ameichin amidas." If you get what saying here, encountering Korach, the whole request of Hashem Alkindi Monaka Hashem Aviseinu, that there's a recognition that there is the process of Tzimtzum. We want the Amshacha, not just the Gilui of the Shodesh Eiragvul. We're acknowledging that it has to be the Helam of the Meitzar HaGodin, literally the throat, the neck, between Meichen and Midas. What's the point of that? That she should draw into the world of Midas, and that only is through the Tzimtzum, and that's the Chutin of Tcheles. That we're saying that in order that the world of Midas be permeated with the revelation of Meichen, it's got to be through Tzimtzum. It's got to come down into the world of Midas. Anyway, it's entirely not, clear, but the general ideas we get. So let's look at the summary, because that we can probably understand. It's in front of you. It's not a summary. The wrong word. It just tells you what the Maimon talks about. So that's better than nothing. Let's have a look. So the simple, what he talks about is straightforward enough. Korach was he wanted that should be the main thing. Aaron, that's why he disputes the kun of Aaron. He opposes it because Aaron's chesed. The shaila was, I want to begin in a moment. Beton shetalish etchulet which is gevura, as opposed to lovam, which is chesed. P'tur mitzvah, we don't need tzitzis. That's which is chesed. That's straightforward. Where it gets complex is it's tiny against Moishe Rabbeinu. So what's the problem? That's good. That's what you want. Exactly what Moishe Rabbeinu is. The answer is no. Given she'ena is nasas tam, because Moishe is not tam, is nasas, or is nasas the kedusha. And therefore, this is not clear in the Maimon either. Since Moishe Rabbeinu is kedusha, so right now that's still chesed, no good. And it's a shaykh minchas chasodim. So that kind of gevurah is not good because it's still be'emes inyan of chesed. And again, it's not opposed to ordinary isnasus that's necessary for a functioning society. That's why that's the last ice we just learned. The whole time is against only the tcheles, elisha lavan, because lavan is nasus tam, no problem with that. But dafka tcheles, is nasus the kedusha. That is nasus of kedusha. So that's going to be. So why not chotin? The question is, he wants gvura to be good. So just spell this out. He wants gvura to be the ikar. So that's a talis at chulit chelis. So why doesn't he want chutin? This is the kind of snasis he does want. He doesn't want the visnasis of what? Of chesed. His nasis tam he's okay with. This is the problem I'm grappling with. You do want this nasis of gevura. Perfect. That's what the tchelis is. Now what's good? So what's the problem with having the chutin? What did he say in the Maimon? He said in the Maimon, it's nasis a kedusha. Okay, you have to fall back on kikulam kedusha. This is what Itaka want. This is tchelis. This is his nasis, which is good, gevura iker. But this nasis part, that's the problem, because kulam kedusha. The moment you add chutim, you're saying that this is a loof. Got it. Okay. The kula tchelis is good, but everybody's wrapped in it. Kikulam kedusha. So we have to separate is, he doesn't want his nasus. When we say that, we confuse the lines here a little bit. He wants gevura the ikar, it's not his nasus, because everybody's there. Nobody elevated. Gevura ikar. So we're all wrapped, in summary, that He means to say we're all wrapped in a talis of called a tchelis, because Gvoda is the Iker. So we don't need the chut in there. Where's he wrong? The ha'orah we just learned? Because there has to be the amshacha. That's the seder. There has to be the amshacha. That Gvoda has to be in a way of giloy, so that means has to be the yin of amshachas and giloy. It's almost like saying he doesn't want giloy. That's it. Chutim is giloy. To bring it down to a lower plane. How does that fit with what he says in the h'tshk is that the whole time they came after what? That the Meraglim came, h'tshk is masber, why the time of the Meraglim came after, why the time of Korach came after the Meraglim? Dafke. Because the Meraglim taught us that it is Moishe, and Moishe is mamshech atzmos. You don't need giluim. Same the code. You don't need chutim. To push the level, call him kedoshim. Why? Because the kavanas did it b'tachtoinim. Everybody puts on tefillin the same way. Don't need the whole inyan of his any kind of his nasus, except for a functional one, which is a tchalish akuli love, but not atzmisdik one like a melech and kohen gadol that's exclusive. Why is he tying the dafk after the meraglim? Because the whole story of the meraglim taught us that we're in, it's Moishe b'poyel. That's a mamshech atzmos. So if it's Moishe b'poyel, you don't need isnasus. Kulam kedoshim. And that fits in with our mind. Moishe b'poyel is gvoret tachtoinim. What's he missing? That the kudras he's missing is that it's not just the Maila B'era Gvola, not just Tachten, but in Tachten should be Gilui. The Lichtike did it, like the Rebbe says in the Sikh. The luminous did it. It has to be the Kavanas HaMitzvahs. It has to be Gilui, the Chutin, the revelation. The Amshocha of Seichel and Midas in the way the Midas can take it, which needs Chutin, that's Gilui, that the Midas can be inspired in their world from that which is Seichel understands. So you need to have the Meitzar HaGoda, but the point is Meitzar HaGoda is there to be illuminated. And so what I just said, why his time only came after the Meraglim. Till then they thought the Kavanah was Giluim, so good. You need Moishe Rabbi. If the Kavanah is Maisa Mamish, that's what the hard lesson was taught from the Maisa Meraglim. So finish. Maisa Kulam Kedoshim Mamshech Atzmos equally. Open the Shulchan Aruch, do what you have to do. And that's Talish Kol Tchelis. What is Giluim and Amshacha's business? The answer is, it's got to be that the Maisa Tak is Mamshech Atzmos, but the Kavod is Giluy Atzmos. And that's the thing of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the of the Giluyim, that's the Chutin. That even a Talis that all Tchelis requires. So I think that's more or less clear now. Yeah. All on the same page, more or less. I think anybody's listening. Anybody listening? Yeah, that's good. Nice. Okay, next Maimer. Okay, we didn't finish the summary. Just we'll finish. I'm sorry. Go back. Not the summary again. Keep on saying it's a misleading term. Tam shecholak al Moishe. They said that, yeah. No, we did finish it. Lo pashut. Lo pashut. That's for sure. Even in Midrash Chazal, what was Korach's taina? This, that's not a simple one-dimensional taina. It seems this is the nekuda of it. If we can reconcile the other places, what we're learning here.